Today we're joined with Marcus Samuelsson, award-winning chef, amazing kind of cultural icon across the country and in the world, really. But we're glad to have you in the city for Global Citizen Now. This is your first visit to Detroit, though. Uh, tell,
Thanks.
tell me a little bit about what it feels like to be back in the city.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me. I always love coming to the D. I think sometimes people in Detroit might not know how much they appreciate it outside, because Detroit is giving so much to the culture, whether it's from music or obviously through cars, but also through people. There's a certain level in New York. I run into people from Detroit all the time. And you can tell there's a grit, there is a level of hustle that we as New Yorkers can appreciate. So I love coming here.
Yeah, we always say what though.
Yeah, what up, though?
What up,
Exactly,
man?
yes.
So your last visit to Detroit brought you to some amazing food places with your show. Is there a particular experience or dish or person who stands out to you from your previous visit here to the city?
Well, I love the diversity. If you put Dearborn and Detroit as one together, I don't know there's a city in America that has that level of depth of, for example, Middle Eastern food, that you can just eat that and it's truly incredible. And from Lebanese to Iraqi to through the whole landscape, and that's incredible to have, So I think that's a foundation that also you see throughout the city. Then obviously with its history and with its African-American heritage, there's also another amazing pillar in terms of culture and food. So you have these two incredible cultures that creates a Detroit restaurant that makes it very unique. That's why when you're eating the D, because it has these two things that pushing up against another that ends up being delicious.
I want to talk to you a little bit about your upbringing. You're born in Ethiopia, raised in Sweden. Your grandmother was a professional chef. Did you ever imagine that, just kind of hanging around your grandmother and cooking with her would lead to the type of opportunities and experiences that it's brought you so far?
Well, thank you for asking that. No, my grandmother Helga had an enormous amount of impact on my life. And when you're 8, 9, 10, actually the same age as my son is now, I started to think about that because what we're cooking together, him and I, the conversation we are having right now is the same conversation as I had with my grandmother. And as I got older and started to go out in the world and cook, I was calling my grandmother up and saying, hey, here in Switzerland, they have purple carrots. And she's like, no, you mean beets, they're not purple carrots. I was like, no, there's purple carrots, or whatever. We had, the ingredients that I saw out in the world, I always knew that I had to call my grandmother. So we always had this very special relationship. And she gave me a lot of work ethic, a lot of craftsmanship that I still build off and on. And I think the love for food, she truly gave me that, and the curiosity around food.
You've always, in all your work, mixed food and culture together. Why is that so important?
Well, I think that culture is that umami in life that we're all looking for, right? We're looking for a level place to belong, or being heard, or being seen, or understanding where we came from. That's culture to me. And without it, it's just stuff. It's just stuff. And we're looking for that glue that keeps us together. And you always go back to culture, whether that's art, whether that's music, whether that's written words, or all of the above. And I think cities that go through stuff has a very specific culture, very often rooted in work ethic or aspirations and going through this journey. And as you come from the airport into the city, you can truly see Detroit's journey, and it's fascinating and it's inspirational and something that people know that things are happening in Detroit and people are excited about it.
Yeah, I think Detroit is a city that takes its food and its culture both very seriously.
Mhm.
And so when you can kind of combine those two things, it makes for a unique experience here in the city of Detroit.
Well, I mean, it also makes sense because you have farming, like this is the place where they're one of the first farmers markets in America, right? So you both have farming and urban, and you have a place that creates jobs. So people brought through the Great Migration and through other experiences their food to Detroit, right? And then it becomes this Americanized version that is, the heartland of America that we always built off our food. So this is one of those cities where you can truly see it and taste it.
So the food culture here
Yeah.
in Detroit has exploded. Pre-COVID, we were on a roll, but COVID kind of caused a hiccup in that. And
Not just for Detroit, for everywhere. So, you know, it wasn't a small thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
but it picked back up.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
in the years since we've kind of emerged from the COVID shutdown. What's your take on the Detroit restaurant scene? And, you know, are we eventually going to see a Marcus Samuelsson restaurant here pop up in Detroit?
Well, I think it's vast and diverse. That's what I love. Like something like that happened here, right? Something from Africa that can be a top restaurant in the city. That's amazing. And then you have something like we talked about the Middle Eastern restaurant, like Phoenix and all of those amazing institutions. But then it depends on where in the dining spectrum you are. Like also having what a place like Fixing that Kevin brought that's like a black diner that you know the dishes and you grew up on it. And so it's like it doesn't always have to be around fine dining. The level of dining, I think it's amazing, right? Like, you know, something like, you know, that Seldon has been doing for years, right? Just really great cooking. You know, you have things like Naval Grade, like there is a range of dining that would do well, not only locally, but nationwide. But I think the range is important. Food is not just fine dining. That's one tiny part. And sometimes when we talk about restaurants, we focus on that. But the majority of restaurants lives in many different spaces. You know, like you want a gathering spot, like, you know, what Dennis has built is 10 years in that corner. People just know they come there. And it creates comfort, right? So restaurants means to restore your spirit, restore your community, and sometimes we focus only on fine dining, and it's larger than that, and that's what Detroit shows, which I love. You know, as you know, we'll find. I love the city, so hopefully one day we just got to find the right combo. And right now we're just opening in DC, so I'm in the middle of opening in DC. And
Congratulations
and
on that.
yeah, and it's also love for music and a lot of African American culture. So I can't really see too much outside of that right now, but I love the city, so why not?
If I had to lobby for it, you know, I hope you have so much success at your DC restaurant. But I know if you come to Detroit,
Yeah.
you know, we'll blow DC out of
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that. That's good. Yeah, we should.
We should love here.
There you go.
Man.
There you go. That's
Like
great.
you said, you can ask Kevin, man.
Yeah.
Kevin's
Yeah.
here all the time.
Yeah.
You know, he's got restaurants opening all across the country. And I see him 3 or 4 times a week in the city of Detroit, man.
He loves it.
He does love
I
it.
just talked to him last night, you know, and what he's been in, and that's my whole point. Like restaurant provides us a sense of place. And we are not one thing as people. We need to gather and break bread, especially times like this, at all levels of affordability. So restaurants have many different functions. We knew during COVID, right? What did our communities look like without restaurants for a while? Not the same.
Absolutely.
So we need all those gathering spots to gather and break bread and meet our friends or people who are of different minds. Where do you solve that? It's very often in a restaurant, through a meal.
And one last thing that I want to ask you, you know, as a restaurateur, what advice would you have for someone who is getting into the industry now, who wants to not just establish themselves as a restaurateur or chef, but scale on the basis in which you've done so?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, be true to yourself. Cook your food. Tell your story, right? Like, well, about fair shows, like you can cook anything. If you do it well enough and share that story, D will show up, right? And then how you move that or create more of that, that might be an aspect of the restaurant. It might be a dish. It might be a drink that you move, because everything might not be movable because it could be too layered or complex. But cook your food that is true to you, whether that is you're Ethiopian or whether you're Cuban, whatever it might be, right? Cook your family story and do it with passion, and people will show up.
And I think you've proven that.
Thank you.
Time and time again over the years.
Thank you.
Mr. Marcus Samuelsson, we thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
coming
much
down
for
at the
having me.
Michigan Chronicle. Thank you for coming to the city of Detroit, and we hope to see you back much more often.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to be here for Global Citizen. It's a privilege to be back, and can't wait to eat in the city. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.